Welcome back, everyone. So feel free to turn on your cameras to signal that you're with us, and we're gonna, without any ado, really head directly into the next session, which is what we're calling the innovation market. So we just had a session with Graham, which was a lot of us passing on information. Now what we're doing is we're giving the floor to members of our network. So over the next almost 2 hours, there'll be 9 different practitioners or people very much involved in the work with climate assemblies, presenting different aspects of their work. So we'll be doing this in breakout sessions. So let me talk you through how it's going to work, and then we'll jump into it. So we'll do it in 2 rounds. The first round will be with 5 different projects. These 5 projects will get the floor very briefly for about 2 minutes each to present what the key point of discussion is in their breakout room. Once we've been through this quick round of introduction to the project, you all get to choose which of the breakout rooms you want to join. And there'll then be about 35 minutes in a breakout room to be discussing this particular project. You get to choose whichever one you prefer joining, which also means as hosts, we can't promise how many people will be joining each of your rooms, but hopefully there will be someone interested in all the topics that are presented today. Now, the 5 people presenting in this first round, I'll let you introduce yourselves, but I'll just say that the 5 people are Tim Dorr, Chris Hopkins, Morten Friis, Oriol Agulló, and Emilie Frenkiel. Oh, Emilie, you'll get a chance to pronounce your last name for all of us. Frenkiel, I think. So these 5 people will take the floor in a minute. Now, the way we'll do it is as kind of like a speed introduction. So you're not meant to go into detail yet. You get to present in the breakout rooms more specifically. But you do get a chance to kind of pitch what it is you'll be talking about, to try to lure all of us into your particular breakout room. Now, before we launch this session, I want to make sure that it's clear for everyone. So would you all kind of just give me some sort of a signal that this makes sense? Yes. Sue? Makes sense? Great. Well, so far so good. Now, as I said, there'll be 2 rounds. I'll be introducing who is in the second round after we've been through the first. But to the now first 5 speakers, let's get the first one on. And Dina, if you'd share your screen. Now, in a moment, there'll be a slide popping up with the name of Tim. So Tim, you are the first speaker. And as soon as you see the relevant slide, feel free take the floor. Now, I'll be a bit of a fascist with time. I'll come in and stop you if you go over 2 minutes. So now you're warned. But Tim, go ahead.
Okay, thanks everybody. So just briefly, I'm Tim Dorr from Stockholm Resilience Center at Stockholm University. I'm part of an academic and civil society co-collaborative project where we are planning for a climate assembly in Sweden at the beginning of next year. And one thing we're interested in investigating is really trying to support systems thinking within and explicit systems focus within the climate assembly. So this is, I want to discuss the different possibilities. And I had animation on the slide. Yeah, great. So there's kind of 2 aspects. One is about systems thinking, to really reflect on how things are connected. Also to reflect on how change happens, the fact that we have time lags and feedbacks, and also to reflect on, if you can just click forward to the next one, yeah, the different indirect drivers behind the trends that we see in the world and indirect barriers to change. So that's all about kind of tools that you can use to help members of a climate assembly think in systems ways. And we're also want to discuss the possibility of you actually using systems models to support that explicit systems thinking, but also because they allow an amount of quantification to actually quantify trade-offs and impacts so that members of a citizens assembly are informed in a very interactive way of what the science says about the impacts of different policy actions and different recommendations. So really looking forward to discuss that with some of you, hopefully. And I think there's one more click on this slide, which is basically, you know, what is possible and appropriate within a climate assembly. So we want to discuss the merits and the opportunities, but also the risks. And also, if anybody has any examples of these kind of approaches, it would be great to have you in the room. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Tim. So this was an interactive slide. I hope it made sense to everyone. I think you did a great job of presenting it, Tim. So if you're interested in the systems thinking perspective, join Tim's room. And for the next one, Chris, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Hopkins, Economic Policy Lead with the Green Economy Coalition. We're a multi-stakeholder global network collaborating to enable a green economy transition. So we've got a really big theme for you here. We think that building a green economy that could actually work, you know, economic systems transformation, it means renegotiating and renewing the social contract, something as big as that. And we want to do it everywhere in different bits and pieces with different tools, and Climate Assemblies are part of that, but there's also more tools in that toolkit as well. So we have a project for the next 3 or 4 years starting on this. We're going to be seeding these ideas and these mechanisms around, and we'd love to talk to the KNOCA community about what deliberative mechanisms would be suited to the kind of systems change, economic change we're talking about, mechanisms that can renew the social contract. And we have a couple of papers and briefings that are out imminently on this. Some of the mechanisms we're already looking at, they're on the slide there on the left. It's not just citizen assemblies, but participatory budgeting, just transition processes, citizen dialogues, advisory bodies, and also some non-deliberative stuff that we think is in the mix, like strategic litigation, and maybe even going beyond sortition approaches that are in citizen assemblies to something a bit more different that involves maybe impacted communities, excluded communities, as well as trying to have representative participants. So yeah, if you'd like to talk about any of those themes, make sure you get the papers I was speaking about, or maybe explore being involved with the work we're planning to do globally and mix things up around this kind of space. Come and join the breakout. Thanks so much.
Perfectly done, Chris. Thank you very much. All right, so that's room number 2. And the next one coming up happens to be a part of KNOCA. It's my colleague, Morten, who's in the next room. Morten, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mark. And what I'm going to present here is an opportunity to have a talk and discussion with me and my colleague, Mads. Mads is a sociologist and my colleague here at Danish Board of Technology, and he has been in charge of running a post-assembly process with some of the members of a local climate panel here in Denmark. And he's going to be presenting this case, and there's going to be an opportunity to ask him questions about that. And then after that, we're going to have a broader discussion on the potentials and the pitfalls of supporting participants post-assembly. So in general, we hope to have a discussion, a very big question for half an hour, but we are ambitious. So the question is, how do we design good processes for navigating the different roles of citizens during and after assemblies, which ensures to build on the increased agency and motivation that we see from the participants of these kind of processes, while keeping both democratic legitimacy and the impact afterwards. So hope to see some of you there. Thank you.
Wonderfully done. I'm very impressed with the timekeeping of all of you guys so far. So, Oriol, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mark. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. My name is Oriol Agulló. I'm working as a project manager in Raons, a cooperative that works in participatory processes of local entities. We design and facilitate and train public technicians in engagement plans and processes. Recently, we facilitated the Assembly of Barcelona, and next autumn and winter, we will be in charge to facilitate the Catalan Assembly. And we want to share with you some lessons learned. The first challenge is to be useful, not to rewrite plan actions of the Barcelona City Council. Barcelona City Council have more than 200 actions against emergency or climate, and to be useful for them. Another challenge is to the assemblies want to focus in the controversial topics like mobility, energy, consumption, not all the global topics of climate. Another thing, and according to the results of the process, the citizens wants to go farther than the city council regulation and how we can manage this, okay? And we need to improve in the topics, dynamics, and motorizing of the process. We need to improve the consensus of the methodology with all the assemblies, maybe, and some keys that we use it and we want to use in the next Catalan assembly is to integrate several experience of participatory processes. The people who works have several experience, and we need to dynamize like mediation, not really directed. Another thing is to maintain the methodology and the demoscopical logic in the whole assembly, no split with subgroups and something like that. And the call to the citizens must be as concrete as possible, not the whole climate issues, maybe more concrete. And we decided to use digital platform only as support, okay, to avoid digital bias. And this is a controversial thing, but we decided for that, and I want to hear that your things about that. Thanks.
Wonderful, Oriol. So we've got one presenter left. Now I tried Emilie to pronounce your name before, and I think I failed. So just to find out how to say it, and then you can present your workshop too.
Hi, my name is Emilie Frenkiel. It's hard to pronounce. So hi everyone. I've been initiating a citizens assembly at the level of our university, which has 45,000 members, mostly students, of course. So this is something that we started a little bit more than 3 years ago. So we adapted the French Climate Citizen Assembly to our university with the students. At that time, we were under lockdown. And so we used probably the digital platform that Oriol was mentioning from Barcelona, Decidim, to do that. And ever since, every year, every fall, we organize a student citizen assembly on a different theme. So food for the first year, where we could actually meet. We use digital platforms, but only as support as well. The second year, so last fall, was on digital practices. And we are now preparing for the next fall citizen assembly with our students. And it's on the future of, on the university preparing for the future. And with this focus on the commons, the common future, and what are the commons. So we have specificities. We are in a university. We have a more homogeneous public, that is the students. Sortition is very difficult to implement in a university, and to actually get a more representative public, we chose to make it actually mandatory, compulsory for some students in different schools to participate. And then we use sortition for different things once we have that pool of students selected. And so we would like to share that experience with you in the breakout room. And discuss this specificity that we have with people organizing or studying Climate Citizen Assembly. We also have the specificity of organizing an assembly a year and on a different topic. And another thing is, I'm a researcher. I've been researching this researching participatory devices and deliberation for years, and every year assembly is an experiment and is the occasion to experiment with different things. Last year we introduced a forum theater, for instance, and so we could also talk about possible collaboration in testing things that you're interested in. because there's this research dimension as well as the transformative and pedagogical dimensions are very important to us.
Well, hello again. So we're back to yet another round of breakout rooms. I hope you enjoyed this first round. It was very uneven how many people joined each room, but I sincerely hope that everyone had an interesting and meaningful discussion. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into round number 2. We have 4 people, so that means now 4 breakout rooms for this session. I'll repeat for anyone who didn't join the first one that the way we're going to do it is first we're going to have a small presentation from each of the 4 people hosting a breakout room. And then the rest of us will be free to join whichever room we found most interesting or most inspiring. Now, at the moment, we're 44 people. So if you do find yourself in a room with 30 or 40 people, maybe you could jump out and join your second priority. But again, let your own curiosity be your main guide. Now, we'll be running this until about 10 to 4. So we won't do a collective recap. Basically, that means that whenever you feel like your room is coming to a natural close, you can finish it. But that also means that before we do start talking about this, I'll just remind you that at 4 o'clock, we'll be moving into our last session today, which is this hopefully very inspiring conversation about how to get the politics right, where we'll be joined by a person with a more national perspective, ahead of a political party in Denmark, and someone with a European perspective, which is one of the people responsible for the big European-wide assemblies under the umbrella of the Conference on the Future of Europe and the European Citizens Panel. So more about that at 4 o'clock, but don't forget to come back. Now, to the session at hand. 4 brilliant people have very graciously donated of their time and want to share some insights with us. And I'll let each of you 4 people present yourselves, present your pitch for what to be talked about in your breakout room. And then after that, we'll open the breakout rooms and get the show on the road. Now, let me get the order right. The first person to give us your pitch is Katie Reid. So, Stine, would you share the slides again? And the moment, Katie, you see your slide on the screen, you can present.
Can you hear me okay? I was having some technical difficulties, but I just want to check that.
I am hearing you, Katie.
Okay,
I think
great. Okay, lovely. Well, hi everyone. It's really nice to have this opportunity. My name is Katie Reid, and I have had the privilege and joy of working with a lot of different children and young people over the last few years, involving them in various different assemblies, starting with Scotland's Climate Assembly, which was the first to directly involve children in its process, and just more recently have been involved in supporting children and young people's involvement in Ireland's Biodiversity Assembly. A parallel process with children and young people took place. So as most of you will be very much aware, across the world, children and young people are calling for urgent climate action. And this crisis isn't a generational crisis, and our youngest citizens, they too have the right to be involved and taken seriously in these decisions being made. So we're seeing, kind of like in Scotland and Ireland, but also many others, there are starting to be a growing number of examples at local, but also national level of children and young people's involvement in climate assemblies. And there does seem to be this really exciting potential for meaningfully and creatively bringing all generations together to find ways forward. So in this workshop, I'd really love the chance to collaborate with all of you and come up with ways that we could potentially explore and expand on the work that's already starting to pick up speed. So I really look forward to hopefully meeting some of you and discussing these questions together.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Katie. So this really is about how to include one of the voices that are often neglected, and so is the next one. So the organization, the Proxima Cultura, represented, I think, mainly by you, Martina, but I think you might have a colleague with you as well, will be talking about another aspect of including some of the voices that are not normally heard. So Martina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mark. So yes, this is Martina from La Prossima Cultura. We are an organization based in Italy, and we work on facilitation and deliberation, but also at the intersection of that with deep ecology and system thinking. As Mark was saying, we want to present and explore with you the possibility of including the voice of nature, of ecosystems, or in general, more than human beings in climate assemblies. So the idea is to explore together what are the opportunities, the impacts that this could have on climate assemblies, and of course also in addressing the climate and ecological crisis. So the idea is that in the breakout room, we will experience a very short exercise. We don't have so much time, but I wanted to do a short exercise to try and get in touch with this non-human dimension. And then, of course, we will have also time and the opportunity to discuss together this topic and also share some of our experiences, thoughts, questions, insights, whatever will come up.
Wonderful. Thank you, Martina. Short and precise. So those were the first two rounds. And the third topic was mentioned briefly for those who joined us at the very first session today. So Eva, could you share with us what you're going to be talking about in your breakout room?
Yes, thank you very much, Mark, and hi, everyone. So my name is Eva Bordos, and I work for Damnat, a Hungarian NGO. We focus mostly on active citizenship and deliberative processes, and I have been involved in the organization of 3 local level citizen assemblies recently in Hungary. And in this session, we're going to discuss what it is like to organize an assembly in a politically challenging environment, because we all know that citizen assemblies thrive and there is trust in society, but this is not always the case especially not in Central and Eastern Europe, where we experience a lower level of active citizenship, and we have barely any track record in cross-sectoral dialogue. And we also talk a lot about political buy-in. We normally are very happy when politicians support our work, and they have some kind of an ownership too over the process, but sometimes the situation is not like that, and sometimes we do get attacked by politicians and are called foreign agents, for example, and this has happened in Hungary not long ago. So the question arises: is there still a chance for deliberative mini-publics in this kind of an environment? And the answer is definitely yes. Data shows that citizens are open to deliberative mini-publics, and we have seen many successful experiences, citizen assemblies in the Central and Eastern European region, in Poland, Bosnia, and Hungary too. But there are challenges ahead of us that need to be addressed and think through. And I invite you to join this session to discuss these challenges and discuss what kind of answers we can provide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eva. The fourth and final group will be run by Jordi. Jordi, tell us what we can hear about in your breakout room.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Jordi Serra. I'm a simple citizen. I am speaking on behalf of the Citizens Assembly for the Climate of Spain. As you may know, our assembly took place in 2022 and 2021 and 2022, and now we have become an association, a non-profit association who's working towards a number of objectives, among them to coordinate with other assemblies of Europe and disseminate our proposals to many fields. And now, what do we want to do? Like the slide tells, we have had some conversations with other assemblies in Europe, such as the French Assembly, the 550, and the Austrian Assembly, Climate Assemblies, and the Barcelona Assemblies. And the fourth, all of us are agree on the need to gather the proposals developed in each country and select those of them that can be directed to the European Union, and because they affect political decision level in Europe, in the Union, in the European Union. You already know that many of our proposals, many of the necessary actions to combat the climate crisis correspond more to the European Union than to national governments or local governments. So the idea is to join these proposals. Of course, this means studying the proposals of each assembly, comparing them, joining similar proposals, completing or refining them if necessary, debating and approving them in a similar process of a citizens' assemblies with representatives of the assemblies that exist currently. To debate and approve this unified platform, we have found a place and a time. As you may know, the city of Barcelona has been declared the European capital of democracy by the European Union. And this is so because it has been evaluated that Barcelona has held a citizens' assemblies for the climate in 2022, as Oriol has told us before. From September 2023 to July 2024, the city of Barcelona will host many activities related to democracy, like assemblies for the climate. The idea, we're working with the idea that hold a meeting with 100 of participants in Barcelona the 1st and 2nd of June 2024, next year. This is a project that has an initial budget of 60,000 euros and has already brought other collaborations, such of Fernando Valladares, who's a member of the Superior Council of Scientific Research of Spain. The Barcelona City Council is initially agreeing with the project. The Catalan government is aware of the project and is considering its participation. And what are we asking you? What do we need? We need a lot of things to do this project. First,
Jordi,
we need.
I feel like it's time for me to interrupt you now, because I think you should go into detail around the rest of this in your breakout room.